talk about a few things that have just been on my mind that sort of came up when I was just in my day-to-day life. So the first thing, the other day I was talking about the guy who's running for the European elections here in Spain, and he set up his like the party. It's called Se Acabó la Fiesta, which means the party's over. And coincidentally, well, I don't know how coincidentally it actually is, but I was just following something about what's going on in Ireland, and John Waters is running for the European elections as well, and his thing is tell the party's over. And I thought, surely they've, there must be something where people are, that can't be a coincidence that it's almost the exact same name. But then I was thinking about it because it's like, so in English, in the English language, like political party and like having a party is the same word, but in Spanish it isn't. So I was just, I was wondering, is it just some kind of, is it something that's like knocking around the collective unconscious at the moment, where people can just tell that, political parties are just literally taking the piss, and they're just living as if it's just some big, big party. A party isn't like having a laugh. I mean, are they just like having a laugh at our expense? Is that just something that people feel? Like the whole thing, like it really doesn't represent us, and it really is just some kind of big laugh that if you're on the right, if you're on the inside, then you get the joke and you just, you live like that. It was just quite, I thought it was interesting. Because like, we see, I notice how, language has a big effect on people. It really does like set the scene for how you interpret stuff. So we saw that during the pandemic, when everywhere, all over the world, we were getting told things like new normal, and like, and it was being translated, so it was like nueva normalidad, new normal, like, so I noticed it because I was hearing it here, and I was hearing it, in lots of places that speak English, so it was in the UK, it was in Australia, the US, New Zealand, it was all new normal, and like, sticking words like new and normal together, it doesn't make sense, you can't just fabricate a new normal, and that's why it really stood out. So when it was getting told everywhere, then it really stood out, to me at least. A bit like, as the great Dave Mustaine said, military intelligence, two words combined that can't make sense. So anyway, so that was like the thing that, is there something to it? I mean, is that just like direct proof of like the, like the Jungian collective consciousness, that's out there? Or is it just that a bunch of people who are, sort of anti-establishment have been having conversations or following each other on Twitter and noticing, hey, that's a good thing, we could do that. I don't know, maybe it is. So, another thing that was sort of popped out to my attention was, I've been playing around quite a bit with like ChatGPT, like 4.0, you know, where you can, and you know, it's very impressive, and it's nice to be able to just ask questions, you know, of things, and it's, I mean, ChatGPT, I've been using it for a while, always kind of, you know, if you ask it anything that you know about, then you can quite quickly see where it gets things wrong. But the problem is with questions is that we generally ask questions about things that we don't know. And so I guess it would be quite easy to just, you know, accept what it tells you. Which is fine, I mean, I don't have any problem with that. Let's face it, it is just like a large language model, and people get stuff wrong all the time. You know, it's not like the internet is the ultimate arbiter of truth. You know, there's loads of rubbish out there. In fact, when I was growing up, but, you know, when the internet first started to get popular, people would go, that's a load of rubbish, you just got that off the internet. Whereas nowadays it's like, no, it's true, I read it on the internet. That's a real, I think that marked a real, you know, before and after point in you know, how people like seriously, you know, what level of personal research for people thought that they should do. You know, there's literally, you never used to have fact checkers because, you know, you just don't believe everything that people tell you anyway. That's the way it used to be. But now it's like, no, we need a fact checker because reasons. You know, so we always need the correct official version of events and things, and you know, I find it kind of mad. You know, so there are certain things that if you ask ChatGPT, it won't just give you the straight answer. So we were looking into my daughter had to do an assignment for English, believe it or not, to do with carbon footprints. So, you know, I guess it's kind of good that you get a wider vocabulary, etc., etc., but it kind of smacks of indoctrination. You know, I can't really think of any other way to describe it. But anyway, so we were just like, she had to go through and calculate a carbon footprint, and you know, for the whole family and all this, and how it lines up, and you know, she had to do some presentation and explain why it's so bad and all stuff like this. And believe it or not, for like our family, most of our, unless the tool's completely wrong, that you type in your stuff and it tells you how evil you are. And like, so for us, most of our carbon footprint came from food, and some of it comes from having a mortgage. But anyway, so we had whatever the carbon footprint was, and she had to justify, like, sort of, you know, if you reduce your carbon footprint, what will that do for the planet? And so, obviously, me having a physics background, you know, I'm quite interested in actually analysing the data and, you know, what do we really know about this? Because although I wouldn't say, you know, I'm very sceptical of the narrative. I'm really sceptical of the science. And the thing is, when it comes down to something like this, a lot of what we get told as the science isn't even what comes from the IPCC, and it's, you know, so the science, the actual hard science says one thing, and then what we get told about it is another. So I mean, you know, we were looking into websites and stuff, and you know, so how much carbon does Spain emit, because we're living in Spain, And so Spain's ranked 24th in the world in terms of carbon emissions. And it's like 0.7% of world carbon emissions comes from Spain. Which is kind of interesting because Spain is a big producer of cement. So, you know, it might actually be disproportionately high for like the population. I didn't actually look into that, but I didn't want to muddy the waters with my daughter to sort of like bring in more stuff, but you know, that might be something that might be interesting or not, I don't know. So, so then I started to think, so like obviously, if 0.7% of world carbon, you know, world emissions come from Spain, and there's 48 million people, and you're 1 in 48 million, and you're one person in all this. So like we're always talking about like, you know, we're talking like a billionth of the carbon emission of the world comes from like this house. I mean, and also that's quite disproportionate if you think about it, because there's more than 1 billion people. You know, there's like what, 7, 8 billion people. So like, you know, we obviously emit more than like the average for the world, I guess, maybe. Well, we must do, yeah. But like compared to say China, which is like a third of the world's carbon, you know, Spain emits very little. So it's like even if Spain went net zero, it wouldn't change anything at all. And in fact, there's a whole there's a whole load of countries that, so basically unless China, the US, Germany and Japan go net zero, then it doesn't really matter. You know, it's like, you know, if like you're bothered about carbon emissions, it's like, it doesn't matter. So then I started to wonder about, well, you know, what you know, what else? Where else does carbon come from? And so I remember just hearing about, you know, volcanoes and stuff like this. And so I asked ChatGPT, you know, what does a typical volcano, how many tons of carbon dioxide does a typical volcano emit? And so it goes, you know, in such a large eruption, so volcanoes typically emit between 10 million and 500 million tons of carbon dioxide in an eruption, right? So it's like, well, is that a lot? I don't know. So it turns out that Spain, what was it? It was something like 30 million tons, I can't remember. But basically it turns out that a large volcanic eruption emits more than, like significantly more than a Spain-sized country in a year does. Like, and I think it was like Mount St. Helena or something did like 10 million tons or something like that, which was actually, like, according to ChatGPT itself, that puts it at the low end. And there's like 70, you know, there's like 70 eruptions a year or something like that. And so we're looking at, you know, just the amount of carbon dioxide that naturally goes into the air, just from volcanoes, I'm not talking about anything else, there's loads. And it's like, if we assume that like the whole, everything that, you know, because like we human activity is supposed to produce something like 36 billion tons or something like that. So that's 36,000 million tons. And a volcano does 500 million tons, like one. So that's like, you know, half of a billion. You've got 36. So, you know, just one volcano is more than 1% of the total human carbon dioxide released in the year, and that's released in one go. So like, you kind of get to the point where you've got to wonder You know, I'm not arguing about whether carbon dioxide causes heat or whether it doesn't, or you know whether we're in climate crisis. I'm not. That's not what I'm even talking about. All I'm talking about is like the actual amount of carbon dioxide that's getting released. It's like humans do, human activity does produce a lot, but like so does nature. I mean, a crazy amount. I mean, much more than I even thought. So it's like, what if nature is real? I mean, it's just the whole carbon cycle. We know that this thing's going to the earth and going back in, and you know, you learn that at school when you're about 10. So, what I'm going on about with ChatGPT was when I asked how much carbon does a typical volcano release, it told me, but then it said, but mankind releases loads more, and like just the volcanoes nowhere near as much, and you know it's humans that do all the global warming. And I was like, hold on, I didn't even ask that. And it's like, why are you telling me all this? You know, it's like, why is there a need to indoctrinate people about this? It's like, imagine if I just asked, I don't know, you know, when does Easter fall this year? And it goes, Easter falls on, you know, whenever it was, April or whatever. But Ramadan is in this part of the year, and so many billion people also support Ramadan. And Christianity, although it's currently the largest religion, you know what I mean? It's like, why does it feel the need? Why is it programmed to tell us stuff that we don't ask for? It seems weird, because I find it more disturbing when, you know, if I just ask something and it just tells me a lie, then fair enough, it's just lied. Because like, you know, and you can, because lies are quite easy to see through eventually, you know, the truth always tends to come to the surface. But when you get presented something, like by sleight of hand, some other information gets put in and it's presented as something else, I'm always really suspicious of that, because that's worse, that's like insidious, that's like, that poisons your mind, because a lot of people don't realise, you know, they just get, like, my wife knows loads of people, she's got loads of friends who can't sleep, who you know, are really upset about climate change. And it's not because you look out the window and see stuff, and it's not because you're opening the tap and no water's coming out, and it's not because agriculture's collapsing around us, you know, it's not. It's because you keep getting told, oh, this is the hottest year on record and all this and that, and it's like, you know, this year in Spain, even though I've heard it on the media, the hottest year ever, it's like, you know what, it's what, the 20th of May. And in a usual year, we have like a few hot days in May, you know, like quite a few. And this year, the weather's been rubbish. It's been nice and sunny, but it's not warm. And, you know, maybe that's just spring weather. I mean, I'm not even complaining about the weather, I'm just saying. But I don't understand how I'm being told that this is the hottest year, like even in Spain, and it's just so clearly not. And not only that, it's like, not only is this the hottest year, but just wait, it's going to be terrible, we're all going to bake in the summer. It's like, you don't know, you know, stop just telling me lies, you know, because maybe we'll get to the end of the year and we'll look back and go, oh wow, it was the hottest year, you know, there's something to all of this. But right now in May, with most of the year still left, and most of the year not having been roasting, boiling hot, you know, just give me a break. And so it's just these things, like the same happened with you know, with the vaccines in COVID, and I'm not saying whether they're good, whether they're bad. I'm not arguing that right now. What I'm arguing is the fact that you get told, these are brilliant, they all work, we've done loads of tests, it's all fine, just get it, it's great, and you know, here's, look, if you take this, then it's like, it's 98% effective, and like, you look at the numbers, And if you just like dig a little bit under the surface and you see how they actually came to that 98%, it's like, yeah, the numbers do add up to 98%, until you actually realise that what you're thinking is, well, 100%, 100 people got vaccinated and only 2 people got it. Except what it actually was 40,000 people got vaccinated in like one group, and nobody got vaccinated in the other. And then in the vaccinated group, 2 people got COVID, and in the unvaccinated group, 100 people got COVID. And so the difference, 98% effective. I mean, that's not true. You're talking about tens of thousands of people in both that just didn't get COVID. So, you know, it's not, that's not how you work how efficacious it is. It's like, it's sub 1% efficacious. But, you know, not that anyone cares. But anyway, so the party is over in multiple languages. Some of them have puns, some of them don't. So it'll be interesting just to see how this happens. And you know, these people, as far as I can tell, don't have any affiliation together, but I'd love to be in a situation where I could actually ask someone, you know, from both sides, like in Spain and in an island. In fact, I'd be interested to know, does this go beyond these 2 countries? Are there other places where people are saying, look, the party is just over, we've had enough, we're not paying for this anymore? So that will be very interesting. So, my lunch is ready, I'm going to eat. Have a nice day.